So today I would be discussing about UI modeling. So in MDG, the end users would be working on FPM application. When we say FPM, it's a floor plan manager. This is a web-based application developed on Web Dynpro framework. So FPM is floor plan manager. Right. This is developed on Web Dynpro framework. We no need to understand what is Web Dynpro, but at high level, Web Dynpro is a framework which generates an URL for an application. And we take this URL and we will work on a web browser. So this is the framework which does it. So to understand the FPM, there are a few components in FPM to understand, and the structure, the definition of UIBBs, and custom FPM application, Web Dynpro to FPM integration, integration of FPM to MDG. So Web Dynpro to FPM and FPM to MDG. So this is how these are integrated. Right, and then we will discuss adaptation and available techniques to do UI enhancements and finding a right way of doing enhancement. This is our agenda for today. So FPM is a highly configurable user interface framework with the help of code generators, predefined elements. This is very important. Code generators, predefined elements such as floor plans, toolbars, and generic user interface building blocks. FPM reduces the amount of coding. It reduces the amount of coding and makes an easy and efficient application development. Supports different level of adaptations like user-based, context-based. So in FPM high level, we have three things. A combination of UI patterns arranged in a specific order is defined by a floor plan. And GUIBs, generic user interface building blocks. This is used to display the content. When we say GUIBs, a GUIB is for table, to display the data in a table. There will be a GUIB to display the data in a tree. There will be a GUIB to display the data in a chart. There will be a UIB to display the data in a form. So the representing the data in a format is happens by the GUIB, right? And there is an editor which is called as flexible user interface designer, called fluid editor. This is to design screens. These are high level features. and we have various FPM components. Like we have OOP component, GAF component, and OAF component. What are these components? When we say GAF, OVP, this is an overview page. In MDG, we will see everything in OVP, overview pages. Like there will be a main application where we can fill the data in, where we can present the data in multiple sections. This is a guided activity application where the data will be entered step-by-step process. Like when wherever we do the job portals, right? It's a step-by-step process. And file downloading and file uploading in MDG is a step-by-step process. Wherever we feel like there is a step-by-step process involved, then we will implement GAF, and else we will go for OVP. So FPM delivers a wizard using which we can select whether it is an OVP or it's a GAF application. Now, if you have to design a OVP, you need to implement this interface called OVP component. If you are implementing GAF, then we need to implement GAF component. Right, again, these are UI VBs, like list, form, table, search. And reusable user interface building blocks are nothing but attachments and nodes, which generally they don't add a value to the business, but and they don't add a value to the master data, but they'll add a value to the request. Now, how are we integrating Web Dynpro with FPM? When you create an FPM application, it will automatically implement this interface in it. That's why it is integrating with Web Dynpro. Now, there are certain feeder classes. When we say feeder class, this is your database table. Assume that this is your database table. Right? And this is your FPM application. And there are two UIVs, UIBB A, UIBB, I would say 1 and 2, 1 and 2. So this is nothing but to display the data. Then how do we display the data? Where do we write a select logic? Where do we capture the data which is entered on a UI? We will save it back to the database. So there would be a feeder class. One, which is responsible in connecting the database with the UI. In this feeder class, there will be a business logic. Similarly, there will be one more feeder class, which will connect to this database. Now, what did we understood here? So there is a feeder class which will connect the FPM UI to the database, and this feeder class will contain a business logic to read and post the data. That's the purpose of feeder class. Every EABP will have its own feeder class. Any questions here, Raymond? Okay, I will take it as well. Now, that feeder class has to implement this feeder class interface. If it is a form, it's a form interface. It's a list, it's a list interface. And every interface will have these two methods, get definition and get data. Get definition is a method which you use to populate the field catalog, and get data is a method which is used to populate the data records, to fetch the records from database and present it on a UI. And this is the fluid data. This is how it will look like. On the left hand side, it would be a navigation area. On the right hand side, it would be the previews of various sections, like we have general settings, previews, object schema, and toolbars. And the bottom one would be attribute panel. And this is the sample structure of FPM. The same structure will be used in MDG with the very slight changes, but ultimately the structure has to exist. Every application will have a configuration with 1:1 relationship, and every configuration will have multiple UABBs in it. Each UABB can have one configuration. So this is 1:n. Now what do we do in application? We will set application execution parameters, like in which language the application has to execute, in which client the application has to execute, in which theme the application has to execute, whether the application should have scroll bar, whether the application should have the color code changes, and other attributes, using which an application will execute, and these parameters will be considered while executing. And what do we require this floor plan configuration? This is to manage the page. How many splits we wanted to see? 1, 2, 3. Or if it is only one, in one split, how many UABBs we wanted to see? A page management. And this list component is something that we will design. Like we are seeing this attributes here. Column positions. We will just do drag and drop, and we will design a string. This is for component configuration. So we have three levels of configurations: application configuration to set an execution parameter, component configuration or a floor plan configuration to manage the page settings, and the UABB configuration is to configure a screen for that specific UABB. This is the sample FPM structure. Hello, Raymond. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I would assume there are no questions so far.
No, no question.
Okay. So now, if we remember, we discussed that there is something called Genile model. When we create the structures of a data model, system has automatically created a Genile model in the backend, right? And we would be using that Genile model in MDG to link the applications. So the execution sequence starts from FPM UI. From FPM UI, it goes to BOL, business object layer. From BOL, it goes to generic interface layer. Then it goes to abstract layer. In the abstract layer, it will identify whether it's a flex model or reuse model. If it is a reuse model, it goes to an access class. From access class, it goes to SMT mapping. From there, it goes to ECC to read the data. Else, it goes to MDG staging. And if it is flex mode, it goes to MDG staging, and that's where it will read the data, push the data. Business object layer, generic, interface layer. What is the purpose of this? The purpose of this is to hold the data in a buffer. Now, what data it has to hold? Data between the pages, navigation between one page to another page. Hold the data which is in between the pages in a buffer. So if the data is available in the buffer between the pages, it can do the validation, it can do the derivations, it can do some consistency checks. That's the reason we have this BOL layer. And Genile layer is to connect FPM with MDG. That's all. So taking this two things as you know, a high level understanding, we would start designing an MDG application. Now let me take an example of any standard MDG application. Any standard MDG application. Uh, since it's been used multiple days, I think it's not coming. Let's wait. Yeah. Now this is one search page, right? So in the search page, we need to understand how this application would have been created. For that, generally in ECC, if he wants to find out the technical properties of one application, what do? We will just click on F1 help. From there, we will get the program name and the screen number, the relevant table name and field, right? Here we'll do F1 help. When we click on F1, then we'll get the technical information. This is how we would pull the data. But in MDG, for us to identify technical data, we need to do a right click and click on technical help, which will automatically bring us the three configurations: application configuration, right? Application configuration and component configuration. This is the component configuration, and this is the UABB configuration. This would be the current view or UABB configuration. So let me go to an application configuration. Now understand, this is an application. Application has an application configuration. And here is the MDG UI structure. So far, whatever we understood, we discussed, that was related to the standard FPM. Now here, we are saying this is an MDG UI structure, which is specific to MDG. We have an application configuration and component configuration for adaptable OVP and the component configuration for OVP. This is an application configuration of BS OVP. In that, we are having various parameters like we discussed, whether there can be multiple rows allowed, mouse over allowed, what is the configuration name, and what is a theme, whether it's an HTML render page, the color code, where is it? Sorry, yeah, color codes, and whether it allows edit options, multiple things. Similarly, to which data model it belongs to which CR type it belongs to which country it belongs to. Even these things can also, we can set it runtime. Now this application configuration has this component configuration. Now we are having multiple pages here, right? So again, we will compare this with the standard MDG structure. Here we have main page, initial page, further edit and dialog pages. First we'll look at initial page, and remember this is optional. Initial page has search UAVB and result UAVB. So we have an initial page. Initial page has search UAVB and result UAVB. Two things we have. This is the standard structure. And then we have main page. In this, we have change request to UABB, valid to UABB, and edit UABB, forms and list. To enter the basic data of a material, to enter the basic data of a customer, tax data, bank data, we have various UABBs in this section. Business partner route details, address details, tax numbers, all right? This is the main page UABB. And these are the further edit pages. So when we click on edit, some detail pages will come. In that page, we will enter the data. So these are the edit pages and dialog pages, which are again optional. One point what we need to understand here is we don't explicitly design this change request to UABB. This UABB automatically designed or generated by communicator settings. If we do certain communicator settings, automatically framework will generate this to UABBs. Now we keep on saying UABB, so this is one UABB, such UABB, this result is result UABB, and this is the main page.